Welcome to the Today in History channel. In today's video we will talk about the day, May 2nd, 1500. Pedro Álvares Cabral sends Pero Vaz de Caminha's letter to Portugal. The question "who discovered Brazil?" is very common, made in order to play with someone's erudition in view of the ease of the answer, which comes almost automatically, Pedro Álvares Cabral. However, so common knowledge, if analyzed in more depth, can reveal great complexity. The trip led by the Portuguese nobleman was part of a project for the expansion of Portugal towards the Atlantic. A small, mountainous country with few arable lands, Portugal in the 15th century had a membership made up of a large proportion of men of the nobility and clerics, that is, people who did not directly participate in the generation of agricultural or artisanal production. It had no manufactures and its peasantry was small. At the time of its formation, consolidated by the Avis Revolution, the country would not expand towards Spanish territory, nor would it obtain economic hegemony in the Mediterranean. The Portuguese solution was to launch itself into the Atlantic, an action somewhat aided by its geographical position, at the end of the Iberian Peninsula, and by the blocking of trade routes in the east after the conquest of the city of Constantinople in 1453 by the Turks. In addition, Portugal had gained maritime experience. Trade would be the Portuguese solution. It was then necessary to discover the sea route to the region of the Indies, bypassing the Turkish blockade. Portugal followed little by little. It had already arrived in the city of Ceuta, in North Africa, which it conquered in 1415, but this was soon isolated by the Muslims. In 1492, the Genoese Christopher Columbus managed to reach a new continent, sailing west. Although he believed he had arrived in the east, the feat demonstrated the existence of land beyond the Tenebrous Sea. In the year 1494, the Portuguese and the Spanish signed the Treaty of Tordesillas, creating an imaginary line that literally divided the world in half. To the west, Portuguese territories, and to the east, Spanish. This treaty demonstrates the possibility that the Portuguese already had a strong suspicion of the existence of land in the west, given their intense negotiation, especially in the position of the treaty line, which would change from the middle of the Atlantic to the west, passing through the lands where today it is Brazil, through the intervention of Duarte Pacheco Pereira. The Portuguese coasted Africa, and in 1488 reached the south of the continent, bypassing the Cape of Good Hope. 10 years later, in 1498, Vasco da Gama would arrive in the Indies, consolidating the Portuguese commercial route for access to spices and other products. Unlike Colombo's expedition, which went west with only 3 small caravels, Santa Maria, Pinta and Nina, Cabral's expedition left Portugal in March 1500 with 10 ships, larger ships, and 3 caravels. Embargoes followed Cabral and his guard of 7 crossbowmen, 80 sailors, 70 soldiers and more servants, 2 exiles, 8 friars of the Order of San Francisco, 8 interpreters and 8 more future employees for the Calicut factory in India. In fact, it consisted of the second expedition, of conquest and trade, made after that of Vasco da Gama. Brazil, where the fleet would arrive on April 22nd, meant a stop for rest and replenishment of water and food, as well as to sign the Portuguese crown in possession of the new lands, even in spite of the indigenous people with whom they would have contact. Even before resuming his journey towards the primary objective of the expedition, Cabral would send a ship back to Portugal on May 2nd, taking the letter from the fleet clerk, Pero Vaz de Caminha, to King Dom Manuel I Degree, the Venturoso, describing the region they had arrived at. The letter of Caminha is considered by some historians as the founding document of Brazil. However, Cabral did not really arrive in Brazil. The Portuguese would arrive in 1500 in a space that, after the interaction of several groups, many conflicts and work, would see the formation, in some centuries, of the Brazilian nation. Navigations would open the world to trade, the embryo of the increasingly growing globalization of the modern world. Did you like the video? In the description you will find the blog link with the full article. Give an incentive by subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting and sharing with your friends. Hugs. Until the next.